Come on, dude. Here, I'll help you out there. Dude, Manny, can you give me a hand? Hey, everybody. I'm Derek Porter, and I'm not at Essen, so I thought I'd do another live Q&A. So I've just been hanging out here at the Dice Tower, making friends with my fellow inanimate objects around here, and that's pretty much all I've been up to. So anyway, so I'm kind of letting the questions populate a little bit here, and then we'll get started. Yeah, so I did not make Essen. I was going to go, but my wife is having some medical issues, and I just didn't feel right about being on the other side of the world until we kind of figure out exactly what's going on. We still haven't figured out exactly what happened. She was in the hospital for a few days, and we haven't gotten any answers as to what happened. It was some kind of a minor, like, seizure, stroke thing. I'm not entirely up on all of the medical lingo. It's not a stroke exactly, but it's kind of a stroke, but all of her tests came back negative, so we don't know exactly what's going on. So I didn't feel right about being on the other side of the world while we're dealing with all this, so I figured I'd stay back, and so that's what's been up. So let's see if we've got any questions yet. Okay. Oh, thank you for the kind words about the intro. Yeah, it's while I'm waiting to get, because of the delay during the day, the guys don't upload their footage from Essen, so I kind of have I had a little bit of time to kill yesterday afternoon, so I decided to do something interesting for live Q&A. Okay, Derek, your top 5 board games of 2017 so far. Well, I can give you what I've played recently. I don't know if everything I've played is technically 2017, but let's see, I can just ramble off the top of my head. I played, I think, actually, Santorini, which I played all the way back in January, is still probably my favorite game that I've played this year. Not that anything's been bad, it's just I love Santorini that much. So I really like Santorini. Really dug, I think it was called Shadowscape. It was a cooperative fantasy game. I played it with Sam. That was pretty fun. I really like Richard the Lionheart from Cool Mini or Not. Really enjoyed that. I played that at CMON Expo. I really like that game. And let me think. Actually, that's 3. What are some of the other games I've played recently? Is Unlock technically 2017? I really like Unlock, the Unlock games. Those are good. And I'm drawing a blank for a 5th. I can't think of one off the top of my head for a 5th, but I hope that's enough. Okay, all right. Have you played Pandemic Legacy 2 now? And if not, why not? Because I picked it up in Madrid, Spain just now. Hope your missus gets better and is not too affected. I have not played Pandemic Legacy 2. In fact, Tom was very apologetic when he explained that I would not be joining in on the recorded plays when they record it for the channel. Because I need to take care of all the tech stuff, and also just to help, because we wanted to get it finished before the guys went to Essen. We wanted to make sure that, you know, a 3-player game would probably move faster, and they could get more games in one session at a time with 3 players. So I've tried my best to sort of like tech those and not pay attention because I don't want to spoil. Because my wife and I we're about to finish Pandemic Legacy Season 1. We just finished October. A few weeks back, before she started having some of these issues. So we're hoping to like maybe finish it before the cruise, and then there's some. We saw a thread on the Dice Tower Cruise Facebook group that someone's trying to get people together to play Pandemic Legacy Season 2, and we thought, hey, maybe we could get in on that. Don't know, because I mean the cruise is kind of a working event for me, so obviously I don't want to like be the guy that says, hey, I can only play, you know, basically after 10 p.m. or whatever. But that's kind of the plan with that. Who is your replacement at Essen? Technically, Kenny Sardina, who you may have seen do other stuff on the channel. He's also at a lot of conventions with us. He kind of went in my stead to sort of be the extra set of hands. There's really no like media guy going in my stead, but as far as doing things of carrying bags, you know, having bags to send games home in, and running the booth, Kenny Sardina went in my stead. Okay. So the important burning question: why do you have a mannequin and blow-up doll? Well, the mannequin, actually, if you watch Board Game Breakfast, is a staple of Dice Tower lore now. I like to call him Manny. And the blow-up doll, which I just realized might confuse a lot of you, is not. It's actually part of a game. I think the game is called The Dude, but I don't think any of the reviews that's actually been reviewed yet. So, but that is actually a prop from this party game that's basically kind of like reverse charades, where you draw cards and you have to act out something with the dude, and it's like, what is the dude doing? And you do like scenes with the little inflatable dude guy, but I thought it was hilarious and thought I could use him for a little funny bit for my intro. But anyway, that's actually part of a game, and I think the game is just, it's either called The Dude or What is the Dude Doing, but that object is called The Dude. Okay, so what are your responsibilities for the Dice Tower? Technically, I edit all of Tom's reviews, like, because you know, because we're as grand as that it is that the Dice Tower has 4 full-time employees here. We're still technically a small operation, so everyone kind of does, you know, whatever needs to be done. But what I specifically bring to the table is, obviously, I maintain all of the AV equipment and just kind of keep up on, you know, all that. And I teach the guys how to use some of the more, I guess, for lack of a better term, like some of the more complicated pieces of equipment. So I'm the one that makes sure that all of our wireless works and all that good stuff, and trying to figure out, you know, when the guys have issues with the camera, and just make sure that the camera's doing what we need it to do. So I maintain all of the equipment, and I edit everything Tom gives me. Which basically, the consistent video rotation for me right now is any game Tom reviews, which includes Double Troubles, Every Game is Awesome with Jason, Tom's special series, I call them the features that he does, which is things like Why I Love and like Best of Publishers, the 10 Games Better Than ... series. I edit those. And then I do the enhanced versions of the podcast, which go up on the YouTube channel, which is probably my least favorite thing to do, because it's like the maximum amount of time and effort it takes for the like tiny amount of return. Like it needs to be done, but it's like to basically listen to a podcast in real time, to time pictures to it, and then upload it on a channel. It's because it's a really long video. It takes forever to export, so it eats up lots of computer time. But anyway, that's in a nutshell what my responsibilities are at the Dice Tower. Okay, there are so many bad combat systems out there, Ninja All-Stars, Talisman, Epic Roll, etc. What combat system do you actually think is best? That's interesting. I'm kind of like, for me, it's not like I'm looking for the singular, like, oh, this is the combat system of all combat systems. I more look for a combat system that makes sense within the context of what the game is trying to, what the game is trying to invoke in the players. So like I'm okay with like random dice and stuff if that makes sense for what the game is doing. So for me, like I really like the combat system in like Descent and Star Wars Imperial Assault because it's pretty much it's a lot for how simple it is. And there's no way to like kind of game it where you feel like, because that blue die has the X on it. You don't have like, so that way you can't like steamroll other players if you kind of like min-max your character and finally it's like, all right, now it's like nothing can hit me unless it rolls a 4 or higher. But so because that X is on the dice, it means that there's still a chance no matter how much you min-max your character. So I really like the Descent system. But as far as like, is there a perfect combat system? I don't know. I don't really think that way. But that's probably my favorite. Okay, what game were you most excited to see from Essen? Oh, that's Jim Blizzard. Jim Blizzard. Oh, yeah, thank you, by the way. Jim Blizzard was kind enough to host me and my family while we had to evacuate for the hurricane. So many props to that guy. And I'm so glad you asked that question. It's almost like I planted you, but I didn't. I actually prepared my own personal top 10 list of Essen. But here's the thing. So if you're interested, I can run down the top 10 list real quick. But I decided to make it a little more interesting because every Dice Tower contributor basically has done one of these lists. I don't think there's really anything I could add that would be informative in the sense of like what you're looking for from an Essen top 10 list. So I thought I would make mine more of a game, and I made mine a jumbled top 10 list. So instead of giving you games listed in numeric values, they're all mixed up, and the numbers are clues as to what the numbers would be and how it ranks. So if that sounds at all interesting, maybe towards the end of the video, I will do that, and then maybe later I can release like a small video on the channel or something that has the solutions, or I can give you guys the solutions before we sign off. But because of the delay, I don't know if you guys are going to be cool with that, so I'm going to take a few more questions, and if I see pop up in the chat that people are totally jazzed about me doing a jumbled top 10 list of my Essen picks, we'll do that. All right, okay, and the questions jump. I have the same problem everybody else does. All right, I left a bag of Swedish candy for you with Tom. Be sure to ask him about it when they get back. Thank you. Yeah, that is one thing I'm super upset about, is I'm missing out on all of the free exotic Essen sweets and snacks that we get at the booth. So I'm hoping some of it comes home. But obviously, some things just can't make the trip over, so they have to scarf it all down at the airport. Okay, have you played Seventh Continent? I have not. It's actually every time it's either I'm either working when Tom's streaming and playing it, or I'm just not present when he's playing it. So it's like this game that he's glowing about, and I've never even seen on the table. I edited his non-spoiler review, and so obviously I don't have, when I edited that, I didn't have any like actual footage of what the game is. So I have no idea what this game looks like on the table. I've never seen it, but I haven't played it. If Tom is the party game, Z is Solo, Sam is Leo, and Derek is Donatello. Oh, that's not a question, but sure, I'll accept that. I'll do machines. Okay. All right, so it seems like the jumble thing is a good idea. So real quick, I'll just go ahead and give you guys the list now, and then you guys can have some time to work it out. But don't spam the chat with your guesses. We'll just, towards the end of the video, I'll just ask and see if people can get it right. So here I go. I'll start running down my list here. I got my clues on my computer. All right, so we'll start with, these are my top 10 Essen games that I find interesting, and or expansions, because there's a lot of expansions that I'm pretty excited about. So this is me. So the first game is my number blank, but the clue is, oh, by the way, all the clues, because I'm a video gamer first. Whoops, I poked my microphone. All the clues, I'm a video gamer first. These are all video game centric clues. So if you're not into that, Google's your friend. But these are, I've grown up playing. I was a Nintendo kid, so these are all, and this kind of encompasses anything in video games. So some more obscure than others, but maybe the power of deduction will help you solve the list. So the first one is my early Subconian warp. Is the first clue. Early Subconian warp is Hunt for the Ring. It's this looks like kind of like a one versus many game where someone's trying. It's a hidden move. One player's doing the hidden movement thing. I really like Fury of Dracula, and this looks like something in that similar vein. So Hunt for the Ring is something that I'm looking forward to. Also, I'm not a huge Tolkien, I don't want to say I'm a huge Tolkien fan because I don't know all the lore, but I really enjoyed Tolkien style fantasy, and I love like the Lord of the Rings movies and all that stuff. So this game definitely is has my interest. All right, the next clue is actually a picture. So here's the clue for the next entry on my list. And this game is Small World Sky Islands. I am a huge fan of Small World. People ask me, when people do ask me what my favorite board game of all time is, I either say One Night Ultimate Werewolf or Small World because I've probably played those two games the most since I've been into board gaming. I'm really excited about Sky Islands because while the River World expansion that came out last year was interesting, it didn't really add anything to the game. It was more just like a sort of a variant in a box, really. And it kind of just basically took some of the concept of underground and put them on the overworld. So it was fine, but I felt like it wasn't something else I could add on top of my game. It was just another way to play what I already had, where this is something that looks like you can add on top of the game. Hopefully the clue has been up on the screen long enough, so I'll pull that back. Thank you, dude. The next clue is Cedric the Owl is the clue for the next one. And the game is the Not Alone exploration expansion. Not Alone was a game I kind of fell in love with as soon as I saw it. I think I saw it for the first time last year at Essen. And I'm really excited to check out what the expansion is going to add. I don't know a whole lot about what the expansion adds. I was super jazzed when I was editing Tom's list of expansions. It's like, oh, there's a Not Alone expansion coming. I'm like, sweet. I want to see it. All right, and then moving on to the next number, which the clue is Geno, is the Venus Next expansion for Terraforming Mars. I usually don't get into big, long, crunchy, dry Euro games, but Terraforming Mars just kind of, I think it's because of the little bit of the card play element in the draft. I really enjoy this game. This is the longest game that I enjoy playing. I'm really excited about the Venus Next expansion because it's adding more cards, which is what I really wish we would have got with the Hellas and Elysium. So yeah, jazzed about Venus Next. The next clue is Sheepman, and this is the Fast Forward series by Friedman Fries. I'm really intrigued about it. My wife and I just played Fabled Fruit for the first time the other night, and she likes lighter games like that, and it's something we really enjoyed. And so I know that this is sort of like a next step in that Fable style system they're doing. So I'm really curious to see how this works, and also I'm intrigued at the concept of, hey, it's you open a game and you don't read a rule book, you just start following directions on cards and teach you the game. It's almost like board games have figured out to do tutorial levels. It's amazing. So I'm curious how that's going to work. And then the next entry, the clue is Trip Cyclone. Trip Cyclone. And the game is the next batch of unlock games, which this is another one of the reasons I'm really bummed I didn't get to go to Essen, is because I wanted to get the box that has all 3 unlock games in it and would also fit the other 3 decks, so I could have all the unlocks in one box, the box of unlocks. My wife and I played through all 3 of those, and I liked them all, even the one that Tom didn't like. Actually, that one is my favorite. So we're looking forward to unlock. And then the next entry, Spectacle Rock, is the clue. Spectacle Rock. And this is Time Arena, which I admit I don't know if this is going to be that great, but I'm just intrigued at the concept. To me, this looks like, for another video game reference, this is Respawn Timer, the board game. Where basically it's like this real-time sort of, tactical fighting on the board with rolling dice. But your characters have these little sand timers, and when they die, you flip the sand timer over, and that's like their respawn timer. And I think how it works is like each player has there's an app, and each player has, or you use a timer app or something, and each player has 5 minutes to spend on their half of the battle, and and whoever emerges victorious is the winner. Like I says, I really want to try it. It definitely has sparked my curiosity. And then moving on to the next clue is Commander Kielbasa. And the game is Panic Mansion. This one I actually just saw when I edited Tom's press coverage, or the press event coverage from Essen. And I would never have even thought twice about this, but when I saw it on the table, that it's like this dexterity game where you're shuffling stuff around. It looked really interesting, and I thought the art was kind of nice. Okay, and then 2 more entries left. The next clue is World Warriors is the clue. And the game expansion is Quadropolis Public Services. My wife and I love Quadropolis, and we've played a lot of it. Or actually, I have yet to play the expert game because every time I sit down to play Quadropolis, I'm always teaching somebody, so we always play the base game, the basic game. But I am definitely eager to see more tiles and things added in. Even if so that base game has a little more variety to it, because I've played a lot of Quadropolis. And I'd like to see more stuff. And then last entry of the list is Tomator's Bane is the clue. Tomator's Bane is the clue. And the game is Pandemic Legacy Season 2. Because while I technically have access to it and I could go and rummage through the box and see what the game's all about, I still want to play it for myself. So there you go. There's my top 10 Essen games. Good luck with the clues, and maybe towards the end, we'll see if there's no prize for getting it right. I didn't put that much thought into this. It was a fun thing to do. So anyway, okay, that should have definitely allowed for some more questions to pop up in here. And let me see what I can do. Okay. Oh, some people were having trouble with what I was not speaking very clearly. Okay. The early Subconian loop, it was early Subconian warp. Early Subconian warp was the clue. Okay. Right. Let's see. No other questions? I'm going to swing back up here. Are you going to play Mario Odyssey soon? Yes, I preloaded it onto my Switch last night. And in fact, as soon as I wrap up my videos for today, I am going home, and me and the whole family are going to sit down and play. I'm a little intimidated because I found out that the collectibles that you're chasing in that game, there's 800 of them. So I guess it's going to keep us busy for a while. But yeah, I'm super excited about that game. I've been playing Mario ever since I've been playing video games, and there's very few Mario games I don't like. Super jazzed about it. Okay. Okay, jumping down here. All right. Are you excited for Munchkin, the CCG? Not particularly, but that's only because I'm kind of over Munchkin. I got really into Munchkin when I first got into the hobby, because I think like anyone who discovers the hobby nowadays, when you go to a local game store, you see a wall of Munchkin, and so you're as you buy games, you're like, well, I keep walking by what this thing is, I should check it out. And I did buy a copy, and I played it a lot with my friends, and we dug the humor and thought it was hilarious. But after a while, I play. When I get a game, I usually try to play as much of it as I really get into it. And so we played a lot. Munchkin came up almost every meetup we had, and eventually we just kind of got over it. So I'm kind of over Munchkin, and I'm also kind of over CCGs, with the exception of Hearthstone, because Hearthstone fixes everything that I don't like about collectible card games, which is not having to store cards. I can play for free, and And yeah, and it's just like I can get, you know, like 3 or 4 games in the time it would take me to set up like a game of Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or something. I don't know. I really enjoy not having to actually shuffle cards, and it's all done for me. And so I'm not really digging the CCG scene anymore. So I'm kind of, you know, Munchkin CCG, I'm like, sure, whatever. All right. Question about Unlock. Did you like the first 3 scenarios? I was a bit disappointed with the meta aspect of a few puzzles. I did. I don't want to spoil anything here with Unlock, but I really did like it. I understand what is frustrating you about that game, but you really, I mean, I don't know, what else would you have expected? You know, that's kind of my response to that. Is if it didn't have that, I don't think it would have been quite as interesting. And now, because of that, everyone we play, we're going to do that same thing. Have you subtly moved things in the HQ around to annoy everyone else as revenge for not going to Essen? Oh, kidding. No. We don't really do much in the way of prank wars, because here's the thing about working in production, especially with like things like YouTube, where like, because we have to constantly keep churning out, you know, we have to be constantly producing something. So we never want to do anything in a prank war that would like hinder somebody's workflow, because that's devastating. So I think the worst that we've ever done to each other was actually involving the mannequin. Because Tom got the mannequin for some gags he was doing for Board Game Breakfast, and he decided to have it sitting in the kitchen so that as we came in the morning, we would all jump. And yeah, it's weird because when the thing's standing in the middle of the room, it's like there's somebody there, and you're just not expecting somebody to be there. So to get back at Tom, and I'm going to tell on Z decided to stick the mannequin in Tom's office while Tom was recording. And while Tom was recording, we suddenly lost power. So we were without power for I think a good 30, maybe 35 minutes, something like that. Anyway, so obviously Tom could no longer continue recording because the lights went out, so he decided to go back into his office, which is now dark, and the mannequin is waiting for him in the dark, and I have never heard Tom scream so loud. But yeah, that's about the extent of like prank wars we've done to each other. We just don't want to, you know, no one has time to like clean up toilet paper off a desk or go looking for something somebody hid, kind of thing. We just, because we gotta, you know, everyone's got their own workflow and you don't want to upset that. So yeah, we kind of have like an unspoken rule of like no pranks that would like stop somebody from getting their, you know, that it hinders their workflow. All right. Since when did you know that Tom's #1 changed? I knew forever, and it was all. Tom pretty much asked me to keep quiet about it because he gave me his list so that I could start collecting the images to put in our game photo database, so that as the guys were editing those every 10 game, every video for those games would already be in the directory, so they wouldn't have to go looking for them. So I had the list well beforehand. But he asked me to keep quiet about it because he didn't want to sour Sam and Z's reaction on camera for when he revealed that Gloomhaven had surpassed Cosmic Encounter. And if you haven't seen that video yet, sorry. Favorite full-scale Mario game and least favorite? My favorite full-scale Mario game, which could totally change with Mario Odyssey as much as I'm amped up about it, but it's Super Mario RPG. I don't know if that counts because I know it's not the traditional like Mario format, but that is one of the games that I have looked fondly on for so many years. So Super Mario RPG. If you're looking for a technical like in the traditional Super Mario series, I will say Super Mario Sunshine. I really like that one. My least favorite, and it's not that it's bad, it's just the one that I very rarely want to go back and play, is actually Super Mario Galaxy. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I just remember that was the one where I felt like the camera wasn't quite as tight. I felt like when I failed in that game, it was like, the dang camera was, you know, I couldn't see where I was supposed to be going, or the camera moved as I was making the leap or whatever. So I just remember having a lot of frustration with that particular game. So yeah, so favorite, I'll say Mario RPG, or if you don't accept that, 64. And then my least favorite, not that it's bad, it's just I remember not having a good time with it, was Super Mario Galaxy. Oh, have you ever played Exploding Kittens? I have not. And there's no reason outside of the fact that I just haven't had the opportunity to play it. Right. Now the guys have finished their top 100. Which most aligns to your gaming taste? Well, probably Sam. But there's definitely some games that I'm, like I don't care for Twilight Imperium, or actually I've never played it, and I have no desire to bother spending the time to learn. But I think like some of the stuff that did like in the ways that Sam's list changed for him, especially in his top 30 or 40. So a lot of those games I really like Tournament of Camelot. I thought was really good. There's better. I think there's other trick-taking games that I prefer, but it's like as far as the kind of having that even spread of like picking particular games of a certain genre and calling them your favorite. It's like I think I mesh more with Sam than any of the others. All right. Do you play any games on the Nintendo 3DS? Yes. In fact, I'm pretty excited because there's a lot of fun RPG-ish stuff that's still being released for the 3DS. And so, like when I was traveling for conventions this year, I was torn of whether or not I should bring my Switch or my DS because I really wanted to play like Zelda and stuff on the airplane. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, but some of these really fun DS games I could get played in on the trip too, and I just didn't want to bring both devices. So I do still play a lot of 3DS games. I like the Fire Emblem. By the way, if you're not into video games at all, but you love board games, I suggest trying out Fire Emblem because I feel like that's like the video game for board gamers. It kind of has that dudes on a map kind of feel, and I love it. Do you think Alan Wake would make a good board game? I have never played Alan Wake, but I think I know what you're talking about, and probably I'm kind of cool with any kind of video game getting a board game rendition of it, as long as it's like, it sounds dumb, but as long as it's good. Because I'm fine as long as, like, for example, I think it'd be cool if there was a Minecraft edition of Catan. I think that would be awesome. But it's not. That's not necessarily Minecraft the board game. I just think that would be neat. What I don't like is when you have, like, an IP does get picked up and it says, this is the board game, and it's really not that thing. It's just that IP kind of poured on top of some other board game. And, like, to call it one in particular, Orcs Must Die didn't feel like Orcs Must Die, the board game. It felt like it was some kind of clunky, like, I don't know. It didn't feel like when because I love Orcs Must Die 1 and 2. They're some of my favorite video games of all time. And I haven't played the Unchained yet, but I just, when I was excited about playing Orcs Must Die, the board game, and I was like, this just doesn't feel like what that video game evokes. It's doing for me in a board game sense. So, but I think Alan Wake could be transferred into a board game format as long as it's like true to its roots and doesn't try to, I don't know. Like I said, don't try to pour Alan Wake over something else. Like, hey, let's make an Alan Wake time story scenario. I don't think that'll work. It needs to be like, I don't know. I digress. I think I'll just stop that thought there. All right. What's your opinion on Zelda Breath of the Wild? It is probably the best Zelda game ever created. However, and this might just be me speaking as a guy who's getting older, and it's also kind of my beef with a lot of open world games. It's amazing just what you can do in Zelda Breath of the Wild. The only thing that bugs me is the world is so big and so vast. It takes a long time to do anything. I feel like most of my game time is spent watching Link climb up things. I kind of wish I could fast forward through some of those moments. So I love the game, but I do get frustrated when I'm like trying to climb the side of a mountain and then like, oh, I ended up not having enough stamina, so I fall all the way back down. I'm like, well, maybe if I tried this way, I feel like I spend a lot of time climbing, and he doesn't climb as fast as I would like. So that's my only drawback. That's the only complaint I have about the game is I feel like I spend more time climbing rocks than I do discovering things and fighting bad guys. All right, Derek, what is your favorite iOS mobile game? Hearthstone. Have you played Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle? No, it's on my wish list. It's kind of, I don't know when I'll get that. I'm not sure. I mean, I think that game looks fun. I'm hearing a lot of great things about it. I'm hearing it's really difficult, but it's, I don't know. I just haven't decided to throw $60 at it yet. I'm kind of hoping maybe around the holidays they'll maybe mark that one off and I can get it for cheaper. I just don't know if I want to throw $60 at a game that I'm not sure I would enjoy. But I want to try, you know. So I think XCOM and XCOM 2 are great video games for board game people. Yep, that's probably true. What is your favorite created world, i.e. Star Wars, Trek, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter? Favorite created world. Wow. Just narrow it down to one. You know what? I'll just, yeah, I'm going to go with, for the longest time, even though I don't really play it anymore, I'm going to go with that, like, Warcraft, Azeroth, that whole thing. The attention to detail that they put into, like, creating that world is amazing. So even though I don't really play World of Warcraft anymore, I still think that it is one of the coolest like fantasy worlds out there. I love it. Okay. How would you feel about a Lego edition of 5 Tribes? I don't know. I've never thought like that. Like where all the pieces are like made out of Legos? I don't know. Okay. Could you publish a Dice Tower blooper reel, right? Yes. In fact, basically that's sort of, I mean, last year it was our Christmas, I think the year before I got here, they put the blooper reel out like on Christmas Day. Last year I published one on Christmas Day. And I'm assuming that it's usually kind of the end of the year thing because that's, you know, we start fundraising in January. So I think blooper reel is sort of like the end cap of like, okay, year's done. So I think it's usually you'll get that around Christmas time. And without even pulling bloopers from the network of contributors yet, there's a lot of bloopers. So there might be more than one blooper reel this year. I don't know. That or one really, really long one. On the flip side of the coin, do you get excited when a board game gets a digital release as a video game? If so, any game in particular you'd like to see get this treatment? Yes, in fact, I know some people have very strong feelings with this, but my wish is that every board game had an app. Because there's so many games that I just don't get to the table because, you know, no one wants to play, but I do. And so it's like, oh, if I had an app where I could just play it myself, you know, against AI opponents, I wish every game had an app. Right now, the one that I'm really wishing had an app is Terraforming Mars for the reason I just explained. Being able to, like, you know, kind of explore what all you can do in that game on my own terms would be great. So, yeah. So, yeah, I'm all for about digital versions of board games. I don't think, you know, I can't really see a reason why it would hurt the hobby outside of it's just I know that those are expensive to produce, so you don't want to take a risk on making an app of a really bad game or a game that doesn't do well enough to warrant having an app, the cost to make an app. So I understand why there's not a lot, but I hope that as, you know, things change, more and more board games come out with app versions. Like I am really excited. I hope that the Smash Up app eventually encompasses everything Smash Up is, because it's still kind of like it's not complete. I guess I haven't checked in on it in a while, but I know when it first came out, it didn't have like not even all the base game factions were in it yet. So, what board game would you like to see the Mario treatment like Monopoly Gamer? Yeah. Oh yeah. I actually at one point I actually considered doing like my jumbled top 10 list. I think I was going to do like a top 10 games that like video games I would want to see put on top of other board games. But I think you could probably put Mario on anything and it would probably work. Like I think even like a Mario Party themed Ticket to Ride would do fine. So yeah, I'll go with that, like Ticket to Ride. I wouldn't mind like say like a set of Super Smash Brothers Dice Masters, like the Ninja Turtle set, so it's all contained because I'm not really about the collectible thing. But like Smash Brothers Dice Masters, I think I'd dig that. Oh yes, Terraforming Mars looks like it's getting an app this year. I do remember seeing that. I think it was announced at Dice Tower Con, right? So, which game at Essen do you think will sell the most copies? Pandemic Legacy Season 2. That's just what the hype train's telling me. All right. Okay, I've hit the bottom of the questions. I'm going back up to see if I missed any. All right. Otherwise, to fill some time, I might go ahead and reveal the solution to my list. It looks like, did anybody happen to solve the list? I'm just curious. If someone wants to chime off and say you think you've got a guess, I'll take a couple guesses and let you know if you're right. And then I'll go ahead and reveal that because I've got about 15 minutes left or so. So, alrighty. Yeah, just skimming for what is your top 5 games? I talked about that at the beginning. What is your top 5 games? Top 5 games overall. Not really sure. Like I say, in the top 2 for sure is One Night Ultimate Werewolf and Small World. I really like those 2 games. Derek, favorite Warcraft 2 unit? I never actually played Warcraft 2. I've only played the Frozen Throne. I played Frozen. My foray into Warcraft was World of Warcraft, and then I was really digging on the lore, so I bought Frozen Throne. Was also like available at the time in the battle chest, so I played a little bit of that. So I've never actually played Warcraft 2. All right. Who is your favorite game creator? Well, here's the funny thing is, until I started working for the Dice Tower, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to who designed the games that I enjoy. So I've been trying to be more conscientious of like, hey, every time I play a game and I like it, I want to know who the designer is, and it's like so. Since doing that in the last 18 months, I've been at this. I think I like a lot of games that Eric Lane does. So that's one recurring name I've noticed in the games that I've enjoyed. All right, what is your favorite board game mechanism? I really like deduction / social deduction. Yeah, as a kid, like the first board game that I loved was Clue. I liked the original Clue, and I like trying to solve things, in a game. So deduction, like it's out of print now, but Mystery Express is painfully difficult as a deduction game, but I still really like it. And like Mystery of the Abbey, and Mr. Jack. I really like deduction and social and like really good social deduction. That's what I love about One Night Ultimate Werewolf, because it's, first of all, One Night Ultimate Werewolf for me is great because you have that social deduction experience and no one's eliminated, so that you can play round after round after round. And basically you're just kind of, every round is basically a little deduction puzzle for you to solve and try to figure out who's bluffing, who's lying, and everyone gets their own piece of information. I really like the deductive aspect of that game. It's my favorite. So. Never played Warcraft 2. Stop the video and go play now. But I want to play Mario Odyssey. Do you think Axis and Allies could have a modern setting and be successful? I don't know. I've only played Axis and Allies once, and it was at a friend of, when I lived in Colorado, it was a friend of mine, and it was like, it was his, like, he nostalgia trips hard over that game, where he's like, yeah, he wanted to recreate the days where him and his buddies would take a whole Saturday and just do a big game of Axis and Allies. So, you know, we went there, and he puts on Saving Private Ryan in the background, and we're playing Axis and Allies, and I remember that, like, there was a lot of rules in that game that we had to keep looking up. And I was like, it's fine. The game felt like it hasn't aged well to me. I mean, I know Axis and Allies has its fan base. I don't know, it didn't grab me. But I'm not really big on like the whole like realistic war theater stuff. I'm kind of the typical, give me sci-fi fantasy or, you know, really goofy oddball themes. I usually don't do the historical war theme game very often. Okay. Have you played Deception Murder in Hong Kong? Yes, I actually. My very first appearance on the Dice Tower was with the gaming marathon with Rado, with Richard Ham, and we played Deception Murder in Hong Kong there. And I think I played like very horribly. Like I messed up bad. I think I was the. I don't know if I was the witness. Or I can't remember. I remember thinking, it's like, boy, I look like like I don't know how to play this game on camera. So yes, I have played it, and I do like it. I just, in fact, that's one I don't get to play as often as I like. Oh, side note, how are the kids and wife adjusting to Florida? Doing okay. We definitely miss having, we miss our circle of friends from Colorado, that's for sure. But we're adjusting here. It's, you know, it's nice. I've got a really fun job, and my wife is part of the deal of me moving down here was that she would be able to stay home with the boys. She really wanted to just come home and be a mom, because before, when we were in Colorado, before I lost my job in Colorado, but we were both working, and we're starting to realize just how stressful that was, trying to raise twins and both work, and yeah. So it's been much more, I don't know, it feels much more sustainable that she's home and then I work during the day, and then we can kind of come home and just be a regular family, instead of juggling schedules like, okay, so I've got the kids tonight while you work and all this stuff or whatever. So, have you played Advance Wars on the DS? Yeah. Again, the theme didn't grab me as much, but when I played the original one, actually. No, I have not played Advance Wars on DS. I played the original one on the GBA way back in the day. But when they released Fire Emblem, which felt similar but different, I thought Fire Emblem was way better. I like the idea of, instead of having like units of where every unit on the map represented, like, you had this squad of soldiers and this squad of tanks, and Fire Emblem was every unit was a single unit. I liked that a lot better. Plus, I like the sword and sorcery aspect of Fire Emblem too. Enjoy your hurricanes in Florida, says Tom from Colorado Springs. Yeah, but how how are those mountains doing? Any more burned down? It was right before we moved out of here, in like within 3 years, there were 2 major wildfires that wiped out like large chunks of green trees and everything from Colorado. So like, yeah, the mountains are there's a big old burn scar across the Front Range. It's nasty. What's your favorite miniatures board game? Off the top of my head, I really like the one that I'm kind of all about, and I'm eager to get my Kickstarter fulfillment of, is Zombicide Black Plague. And it's kind of funny because I know it's not technically like a miniatures game in the sense of like it's, lots of stats and boards and things like that. But I did decide to buy like a big toolbox to try to keep all the minis in and try to keep it sorted. I don't know. I'm seeing just how much stuff they're adding with the Green Horde Kickstarter, and I'm wondering if I even have space to store it all. But I really do like that game, even though it's probably not a traditional like miniature skirmish game in that sense. If you had to choose, which game would you rather play, Downforce or Ethnos? Downforce, because I did not enjoy Ethnos, whatever it is. I don't know. I feel like I was the only crazy person in the room because I played that game and everybody was just convinced that it was fantastic. And I just did not have a good time with it, and I felt like the game was playing me. I feel like I made no decisions. I don't know. I had a horrible experience with Ethnos, and I thought it was kind of not really great to look at on the table. So I have no drive to go and figure out why I like that game. I just remember when I played it, didn't care for it, and don't want to try it again. Because I know maybe there's like, maybe I just got stuck with a bad pool of powers or whatever, because you can switch out the different racial powers that are in the game, but I just have no desire to go back and play it. What are you most looking forward to on the cruise this year? Well, a lot more people that I know are going to be there. So, yeah. I've made a lot of friends in the Dice Tower Network, and a lot more Dice Tower folks are going to be on the cruise this year. So my wife will get to see some of these wonderful people that I travel away. And you know, when I'm away on travel, I always talk about all these great friends I'm making, and she hasn't got to meet them yet. So that's probably what we're looking forward to most, is just being able to hang out and maybe play some games with some of the friends I've made on the conference circuit. So, favorite Alan R. Moon joke. Have you ever played Fallout? If so, what's your favorite one? I have not played Fallout. I just never bothered to take the time to play those games. Like, I haven't played Mass Effect either. They're kind of on, like, I have like a bucket list of games I'm going to get played at some point, maybe. I don't know. I don't have near as much time to game as I used to. But I've never played Fallout, though I think the newest one is the one I would want to play, it sounds like. That's at least what a lot of my friends are telling me. Okay. So I've got about 5 minutes left, so real quick, I will reveal the order of my list. So we'll start from the bottom. Number 10, which was the Sheepman clue. Sheepman is the robot master from Mega Man 10, so number 10 was Fast Forward. The number 9 clue was Spectacle Rock, which to Zelda fans will know that Spectacle Rock is where the 9th dungeon was located in the original Zelda, in the first quest anyway. So number 9 was Time Arena. And number 8 was the World Warriors clue, which refers to the 8 World Warriors in the original rendition of Street Fighter II. So that was number 8, which was Quadropolis Public Services. And number 7, Geno, was the clue, which is a reference to the one-time appearance of the character in Super Mario RPG, Legend of the 7 Stars. Was the full title of that game. So, and then number 7 game was Venus Next. Number 6, Commander Kielbasa. This is where I got a little obscure, because as I get older, I'm finding less and less people have played these games. But Commander Kielbasa is the name of the captain of Deep Ship, the SS Deep Ship 86 starship in Space Quest 6. And I actually checked to make sure that that was the only Space Quest he appeared in before I gave his name as the clue. So, number 6 was Panic Mansion. The number 5 was Cedric the Owl, which is a reference to the character from King's Quest V. It was, "Oh, Glenn, watch out, a poisonous snake." King's Quest V is a great game, but it has terrible voice work, and that character is really annoying. But he's kind of synonymous with King's Quest V, if you've ever played any of the old Roberta Williams adventure-style games. And number 5 was Not Alone Exploration. Number 4, Early Subconian Warp, and this might have been a little harder. I was hoping if you Googled it, you might have figured it out. But Subcon was the name of the world in which Super Mario Bros. 2 took place in, and the very first warp zone you can find in that game takes you to World 4. So number 4 is Hunt for the Ring. Then number 3 was Tomator's Bane. Tomator was the name of the bad guy in The Lost Vikings, and The Lost Vikings number 3. Eric, Balog, and Olaf. They're also now, I guess they're also characters in the Blizzard MOBA Heroes of the Storm, apparently. And then number 2 was Trip Cyclone. This was probably the hardest one because almost no one I know has played this game, but Trip Cyclone was the name of the band in Shivers 2 Harvest of Souls, which was an adventure game put out by Sierra Online Entertainment back in 1997. One of my all-time favorite video games, and a game that has tried to do something that I have not seen any other game do since, which was write original music with clues for the game in the music and release it as a soundtrack alongside the game. And it was all like 90s style kind of alternative grunge rock sounds. I really like that game. Anyway, so number 2 was, the clue was Trip Cyclone, which is from Shivers 2 Harvest of Souls, and the game was, I lost my place. Oh, Unlock, the Unlock games. And then finally, the visual picture, the number 1, and here, I'll put it back up on the screen. So you'll notice it looks like it's the buttons for the Sony PlayStation Diamond, but it's not, so I'm sure people thought this was number 3. But it's actually number 1 because it's actually an Xbox, and then the circle is the 360, and then what came after the 360? The Xbox One. So, all right. So how'd everybody do? Okay. Apparently some latecomers have no idea what's going on. That's totally okay. It was just something I wanted to come up with to fill time to populate questions. Maybe I won't do that again. I don't know. Anyway, it's about 3 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I love it when I get to do stuff like this out of the ordinary. It's always a lot of fun. And I will probably be doing something live on Monday as well, but I don't know what that looks like because the guys are still coming back from Germany, and Tom asked me to do something for Monday in place of the fact that there's no board game breakfast or weekend review going up that day. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a way I can play some live games with some friends on the internet or something and live stream it. I'm not sure exactly, or it might just be another live Q&A like this, or maybe I'll do a live versus the internet thing. I haven't nailed down what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to do something. So anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in for my live Q&A, and I'll be seeing you guys around. I'm going to go back behind the scenes now. Later, y'alls.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.